In Make Me a Baby, 100 British couples are trying, and some succeeding, to make a baby over an entire year.
No matter what I do, no matter where I am, no matter what's going on, I'm just like, I'm pregnant.
4 months on from the biggest mass pregnancy test ever held, and 46 couples are already pregnant, with cameras there for the pleasures
Wonderful. Fantastic.
and the pains of pregnancy.
It's basically like having an eating disorder, but in reverse.
But 54 of our couples are still trying to conceive, and we'll keep following them too.
I feel like my clock's ticking like Big Ben. Hear my eggs smashing as we walk.
Helping them all on the path to parenthood are 3 of the country's top fertility, conception and pregnancy experts. All this and more on Make Me a Baby. We've selected stories from across our 100 couples, following the road to conception and the different stages of pregnancy, right from the very start. I'm Dr. Simon Atkins. As a GP, I see patients at every stage of becoming parents, and it can be an incredibly exciting time.
One of the things we always check in pregnancy is blood pressure, so if we can get the ball rolling today, and I'll check that for you. Okay.
Thank you.
The 9 months of pregnancy are divided into 3 separate stages called trimesters. Each has its own distinct physical and emotional challenges. The first trimester deals with baby's early development.
There's your little sweetheart.
The second, the middle 13 weeks, and the third, the final 15-week run up to delivery day.
She weighs 5 pounds, 12.5 ounces.
Some of our couples are now well into the first 12 weeks of pregnancy, a time of intense transformation. In just 3 months, baby grows from single cell to fully formed fetus, complete with beating heart and functioning kidneys.
I'll just bounce then again for you.
Oh, and again, it's jumping.
All the other major structures have also started forming. The brain, the arm, the hand, even the fingernails. And all this activity means it's a really demanding time for mum. Symptoms in the first 12 weeks include fatigue, headaches, constipation, and probably by far the worst for some, morning sickness.
People think that you just sort of wake up in the morning and feel sick or just throw up or whatever, and then you're all right again. It's not like that at all.
Towards kind of week 9 and 10, horrendous.
I felt sick all day, every day for about the first 3 months.
I was told that ginger helped morning sickness.
I've been told to take zinc.
Munching on a dry biscuit when you feel sick.
I think eating something small helps. Definitely helped to eat something.
For Hannah and Marvin from Manchester, our mass pregnancy test didn't bring the results they were hoping for. But the couple were above the national average of 10 times a month when it came to how often they were having sex.
We're still newlyweds and we're still quite young, so, you know, we might not be doing it this much when we're older, so we may as well fill our boots now.
The couple got married 4 months ago, and very soon after our group pregnancy test found out they were expecting.
I've always wanted children, known that I've wanted to be a mum. It's like I've been put on this earth to be a mum, that's how I feel. It's just the most magical feeling, and I never stop thinking about that I'm pregnant. No matter what I do, no matter where I am, no matter what's going on, I'm just like, I'm pregnant.
Getting married is the first major milestone in a man's life, and coming to terms with that is one thing, and then having a child is the next major milestone, not necessarily in that order, but yeah, it's changed me, and I'm ready for it now, yeah, totally.
Now 11 weeks pregnant, Hannah has become a big tick list for all the classic symptoms of the first trimester.
I've been feeling pretty much very tired for the full time. I've been exhausted, my social life's gone right out the window. And I've been feeling a little bit queasy when I've been at work.
As in 7 out of 10 pregnancies, Hannah has morning sickness.
Do you want bacon on that?
And to make things worse, she runs a sandwich shop.
The morning sickness really, it began quite quickly. It's in the kitchen really in the mornings, and all the smells of it coming out of that oven and that I really have to try and avoid the kitchen really and really stay out of it. If I'm at home I'm all right, but just in here, I'm lucky that I haven't actually been sick, especially it wouldn't be very professional dashing to the toilet all the time in here. People wouldn't really want to eat my food if I was constantly dashing to the toilet.
Morning sickness can strike any time of day, but it's worse when the stomach is empty.
No one's quite sure why some women get morning sickness and other women don't. In some ways, the good news for the women who do get it is quite often it means their pregnancy is quite healthy. And what we do know is women who do have morning sickness are less likely to have miscarriages. So therefore, a lot of people think that the morning sickness is linked to the surge in hormones that are happening at this time. They haven't exactly pinpointed which combination of hormones is causing it. And the thoughts are that some women are quite sensitive to this surge in hormones, and that's how their body's reacting.
One little person bouncing up and down, and there we go. We've got the head and the body. It's wriggling around, moving about everywhere.
Can you not feel it moving at all?
No.
Fortunately, morning sickness is mostly harmless to mum and baby. Hannah's first scan has gone well and her pregnancy's progressing as expected.
So it all looks well with it. Although I've had aches and pains and felt sick and things like that, the overwhelming feeling that I have got my baby in my stomach has just made all of that worthwhile.
Since finding out that 2 will soon be 3, the couple have kept busy preparing for baby's arrival.
Because it's our first child, we're not sure what we need. We're just, at the moment, trying to formulate ideas and see what we do need, really.
We could buy loads of the stuff in here.
You could.
I could, yeah. Wow, that's our first purchase.
First of many.
Should we go back and look at the cots again?
Yeah.
Back at home, Hannah and Marvin are over the moon with their first piece of baby kit.
This is really exciting to have brought this piece of equipment home because it's the first, we've walked through the door with something that is actually specifically for the baby, and it's so exciting to have it in the house. It's suddenly made it all really real. It's like, this is ours and we're having a baby, and it's because our baby's going to go on there. I'll probably be coming in the bedroom just looking at it every day.
For well over a third of our 100 couples, the prospect of a positive pregnancy test still seems a long way off. Glasgow duo Patsy and Michael have been trying for 6 months, doing everything they can to make a baby.
After I ejaculate, I'd go down and give Patsy oral sex to keep the sperm in, basically, yeah.
Sorry, Mum.
But during our tests, Michael discovered he was in the group with the lowest sperm count, and his lifestyle needed serious revamping. Today they're heading for a consultation with pregnancy guru Zita West to find out if their approach to baby making needs a radical rethink.
What I'm looking for is the best advice that she can give us on everything. I mean, she's going to look at us in a different way to how we look at ourselves.
I just hope she doesn't make us wear a pointy hat and fling bones about the floor. You know, just... Oh, this holistic stuff sort of frightens me a little bit.
Michael.
Frightens me a little bit, all this holistic stuff.
It's not, though. She's not holistic. She deals in acupuncture. And
Yeah, I've had acupuncture before, so I know what that's like.
Yeah.
That's easy.
Body language, that's you stuff.
Oh, well, we're not shy of getting needles stuck into your skin, are we? You know what I mean?
No, definitely not.
Covered.
Michael may joke, but Zita West has advised hundreds of women on fertility. Her method mixes traditional and alternative medicines. Zita will assess the couple's current lifestyle, as she's aware that the longer they go on without that positive result, the more stress they'll feel as a couple.
The typical male thing, you know, is why is it not happening? Why is it not going? Because I've got 2 kids from a previous relationship, and why is it not happening? What have I done wrong? So that is why we're here. But
You said the past couple of months it hasn't been baby. I mean, you said that yourself. Well, you said that to me last week. I don't know if you were just saying that. But carry on, it's your question, carry on. Carry on, Michael.
But that's all. I love you to death and you love me to death. It's just a stress on the relationship, and what I need is a plan, so I don't feel as lost, because sometimes I do, babe. Sometimes I'm like, what can I do here, or how can I fix this?
Intimacy goes out of a couple's relationship so quickly when they're trying for a baby, and women become very obsessed with temperature charts and ovulation sticks. You know, a man to have sex needs to have desire, and very often if a woman is dragging him back at 2 o'clock in the afternoon to have sex, the desire goes so quickly and sex doesn't happen as a result.
Patsy has changed her diet. She's pushing Michael to do the same, and that too is creating a lot of tension.
Because I don't read certain things that you give to me, doesn't mean I'm not interested in having a baby, or I'm not dedicated to having a baby. It's just...
What I try and give you mostly is nutritional stuff, and that's what you ignore me on, and I get really frustrated on it.
Okay, from now on, don't give him anything.
Okay.
Nothing.
Excellent.
Nothing at all.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
With no more pressure from Patsy, Michael will have the space he needs to look after his own health, which is vital considering he's already been through the ordeal of kicking a serious drug habit.
Heroin and crack cocaine.
Yeah.
And for 4 years, I quite a heavy user. And one day I just had to stop. I woke up and couldn't continue my life like that. No friends, no work, no money.
Sita wants the couple to continue making improvements without making them too pressured. She starts with acupuncture to revitalise Patsy's reproductive system. She's due to ovulate, so this stimulation might just help her get pregnant by increasing the blood flow to her ovaries.
I look like a Dalek. I love you too.
It's a nice, calming, relaxing point.
It's quite pleasant, actually. Not painful at all. Oh, felt that one.
And Michael's current lifestyle gets a radical overhaul.
So, no breakfast, coffee and a fag, followed by a bar of chocolate, followed by nothing.
My body does feel like an old engine, you know,
Yeah,
and I'm only 33. So
I know, but the way you build up
nutrition.
your reserves as well, Mike, is sleeping, you know, sort of eating well, you know, you're running on empty. Yeah, smoking's the other thing. I mean, smoking really does damage sperm. So, you know, how many are you smoking a day?
Between 15 and 20 a day.
Hell of a lot. Yeah, and I just think it's got, you know, you've got such potential to feel so much better, to feel healthier, to feel great.
Wow, I'm baffled. Loads of information and...
That was really good. That was really uplifting, and it's made us look at it
Yeah, totally made
in
us
a
more
different
positive.
light.
So
Not that we didn't know all the facts and figures, but to be made to step back from it and look at it like that, and just the little bits of information on such a small scale, it just helped so much. And she's fantastic.
When the 100 couples first met in our studio, we calculated how much they drank, as alcohol can hamper conception. Barbara and Andy from Nottingham were trying for their second child, but their relationship was under a lot of pressure. You look like you're having trouble holding your drink there, Barbara. That's quite a fair few bottles.
I'm quite shocked, actually, about the amount that I actually drink.
Andy manages a football team and is a part-time referee. And while he's at his beloved football, Barbara has developed a worrying habit.
An average night for me is usually after I've put Josh to bed, get the telly on, get the wine open.
I do know that she, has quite a little bit to drink at home. I don't really begrudge her for it because, like I say, she's sitting at home on her own.
The extra money Andy gets for refereeing is a big help to the couple, but is it a price worth paying?
I think everyone thinks I'm a single parent because I go to toddler groups, or I go to play centres and see the same people there, see the same families, and sometimes I feel a bit resentful.
Despite their issues, Barbara's now 12 weeks pregnant, but their problems aren't over. Barbara has a condition called hyperemesis gravidarum, a severe form of morning sickness, and she's barely kept anything down for weeks.
On an average day, but yesterday in particular, I got up and had 2 slices of toast with beans on them, and then I was sick, and then I had some porridge with raspberries and was sick. I had the chow mein for my dinner and was sick. It makes me feel depressed because I know that out of all that food, I don't know how much I've actually managed to give to the baby.
Normal weight gain in the first 12 weeks of pregnancy is only 2 pounds. But Barbara's excessive vomiting, a condition which affects less than 1 or 2 pregnant women in every 100, can cause debilitating dehydration and weight loss, which can be life-threatening for mum and baby.
It's basically like having an eating disorder, but in reverse, because you don't want to throw up afterwards. And yet you know that you're going to, whereas with an eating disorder you know that you've got to throw up because you want to lose the weight. Whereas this way I'm trying to put on weight and I don't want to throw up, but unfortunately I've got to eat vast amounts of food just to get the nutrients that I need to the baby. A sandwich for you.
To help her through, Barbara takes Stemetil, an anti-sickness drug. It's not the first time she's had this condition, and yet again, food's not the only thing making her sick.
When I was pregnant with Josh, unfortunately, the smell of Andy made me quite sick. Not because he has an odour problem or anything, but just because it was just a natural smell. And I've found now that Josh seems to have a natural smell as well, as I probably do myself, but obviously you can't detect it on yourself. And so that makes me sick. It's like your worst nightmare. Like I say, the only time you feel better is when you're asleep, and that is just really poor. I mean, at the moment, I'm going to bed at 7 o'clock, getting up at 7 o'clock, going back to bed about 9:30 till 2, and going back to bed at 7, just so I don't feel sick.
This time, though, Barbara's feeling so ill, it's prompted her to make a big decision.
You forget the severity, you forget the pain, you forget the nausea, and you forget the whole thing. But it's, you know, it's one of those things. I won't be having any more children. I couldn't possibly go through it a third time.
Because trying to make a baby can take a lot of time and effort, we asked our 100 couples some intimate questions about how they're trying to get that positive result.
How often would you say that you had sex every month?
Is that with or without foreplay?
You tell me.
It's always without. I would say virtually about maybe once a week, but we're not getting too involved in the whole charting and right, this is this time of the month and we have to do it then and Pete get home this minute.
I can't wait for that.
Our potential parents were split into 3 categories, measuring the amount of sex they're having each month. Frequent sex every 2 to 3 days is best when trying to conceive. But Derby couple Jane and Simon's tactics are completely the opposite.
We've got 2 small children already, 2 little girls, and when we tried for those, I decided that the best thing to do was go for day 13, 14 and 15. So we had sex on just those 3 days, and luckily, both times with both the girls, it worked.
Right.
So we thought, we've found a winning formula, let's try it again.
And do you find, you know, only doing it that many times a month is a strain on your relationship, or do you sort of break the rules
well, it's
sometimes?
a strain for Jane because it's too many. Yeah.
1 month later, and they're still not pregnant. Not surprising, really, as their house is in chaos thanks to an extension Simon started building over 6 months ago. It's far from finished. Their bedroom's in bits, and it's playing havoc with their love life.
My extremities were just freezing. I thought I'd got frostbite. There was no way. I mean, it's all right for Simon. His side of the bed, he's got the radiator.
Yeah, we swapped over there, didn't we?
And what did you say the morning after?
Said it is a bit cold here.
Jane's resorted to desperate measures. They're managing to have sex, but only just.
We'll give it a quick bash on the old blow-up bed before Simon goes upstairs.
Despite Jane's attempts to see the funny side, the situation is stressful, which could have an adverse effect on her getting pregnant.
Stress can affect all parts of the body, and we know that it can affect the menstrual cycle, and obviously if it's affecting whether a woman's ovulating or it's disrupting some of the hormonal mechanisms, so the progesterone is not as high as it should be, then that's going to affect whether a woman is successful in achieving a pregnancy and maintaining a pregnancy.
Dr. Cecilia Piper has been studying female fertility and conception for 15 years, so who better to help Jane and Simon sort things out?
I heard there was a problem with the roof. I'm really surprised at how major it is.
I know.
My goodness.
It's been a little bit delayed and obviously not helping the baby making at all.
It's not hard for Cecilia to see that Jane and Simon are a couple in chaos.
It has been very stressful with all this going on around me all the time, all the influences.
You can hear it, can't you?
I know, you can hear it all the time, it's constant. And everything's a struggle, really. And I felt very stressed, so I felt very tense all the time. I mean, I've had some pains in my neck. I know that I feel stressed, completely and utterly stressed.
Some people are really stressed but still going to get pregnant, aren't they? So
That's right, and what we know is that a lot of people are very successful in getting pregnant even if they are stressed. And for some people, when they get stressed, you get that adrenaline surge. We also know that other people get stressed and they put their cortisol levels up, and sometimes they eat a huge amount and put on weight and feel a bit low and get sad. And so, you know, you have this complete opposite. Is that you?
Yeah, well, I thought it was just because I was depressed and I'd let myself go thinking I was going to be pregnant any day now, and I wasn't. And I've put on nearly a stone since I've started trying for a baby.
12.
Oh my gosh, there's stuff coming through the roof.
Put it this way, if we were testing my stress levels right now, I think they'd be through the roof that I haven't even got, actually. Drops all the time. It's always dropping.
There are bits dropping around regularly, yeah. But what it all boils down to really is Jane not being pregnant, because that's the most stressful thing. I think if Jane finds out she's pregnant in the next day or two, which we're hoping, then I think a lot of the stress will go away.
Do you think you might be pregnant now?
I don't think so, no, because I don't feel in the least bit pregnant. It is
time to do a test.
It is the end of my cycle.
Despite Jane's insistence she's not expecting, Cecilia and Simon convince her to do a pregnancy test.
It's there. That's it. You're pregnant. Surely.
Do you think so?
Yes.
That's Cecilia.
Let the expert look at it.
What do you reckon? Let's have a look. So what are you looking at there?
A cross.
You are.
Do you think so?
I see a cross.
So. See?
I do see a cross. Is it?
Oh, Jane,
I've
please.
looked at them that many times. I don't know.
That is definite. You cracked it.
Oh, it's that blow-up bed.
I think
That's
she
great.
needs to be taken care of now,
Yeah.
and I think that cup
Get
of
yourself a
tea
new
before you
husband.
get out of your lilo bed
Yes,
in the morning. I don't know. What else? What else is on your wish list?
New husband?
No, just one that can put my roof on.
It's just the most emotional thing that you could ever go through, ever. To see that you have just started to make a baby, it's just the most amazing thing ever.
Ready? Steady.
In Sunderland, Lindsay and Kevin already have 18-month-old Lucy.
Steady. Oh!
They discovered another was on the way when our 100 couples got together for the mass pregnancy test. The second pregnancy is a big step for the couple, as Lindsay's previous labour was fraught with problems.
During my labour last time round, I was actually told I was quite lucky to survive the childbirth that I went through. So I thought, is it selfish of me to want another baby? What happens if something does go wrong and I leave Lucy and Kevin behind?
The couple have had a lot to think about, particularly potential dangers to Lindsay's health.
When they brought her out, there was an awful lot of blood came out at the same time, and it revealed that my placenta had broken into pieces, so that they needed to take that out manually. So there was a lot of blood and stuff around, which didn't look particularly pleasing, to be honest with you. That caused me to pass out or faint. And when I came round, I did have to have, I think it was 4 blood transfusions in total.
Now it looks like there could be problems with this pregnancy. Lindsay's been called in for an early scan to test for a fetal heartbeat. She's only 6 weeks gone, but she's suffering pains and bleeding.
How are you feeling, Linz?
I'm a little bit worried, but I know that I feel pregnant, but I'm a little bit worried about if they can't see anything, what it's going to be like if I have to wait another 2 weeks to find out. I'll be happier in about an hour's time.
Will you be able to see the heartbeat at 6 weeks?
I don't know if they'll be able to see it beating, but that's what should be there.
It's a tense time for the couple.
Been a bit nervous, so it's been emptied a bit.
Yeah. Hopefully that's quite warm. Right, so I'll start off with the monitor pointing towards me while I get what I need, and then as soon as I know anything I'll tell you, okay? I'll definitely see a pregnancy sac today. Okay, so that's one step. So what we've got today, you can see there's a pregnancy sac here. This is your uterus here, this grey area. Right. You can see here. Black that we can see here is a pregnancy sac. It's black because it has fluid in it, okay, so that's normal. Now at this stage, can't be 100% sure that the pregnancy is ongoing until we see a heartbeat in that. Now with this scan across your tummy today, we're not seeing that wonderfully clearly. What we can do, you've got 2 choices basically on this now. We can either get you to go to the toilet and empty your bladder now, do an internal scan, or you can wait and have another scan in a couple of weeks' time when everything will be developed that much further and we can see if there's a fetal heartbeat there.
I think I'd possibly prefer to get it over with today if that's okay.
That's fine.
Because I've been really quite worried the last few days.
Yeah, that's fine. Right.
An internal scan uses the same technology as a normal scan, But because it's inside Lindsay, the image is much more revealing.
Got this covered with a condom, so everything's nice and clean for you. And this gel is going to be cold, I'm afraid. Right. Just let your legs flap a little bit. That's it. As soon as I know anything, I'll tell you, OK? I'm just going to do a couple of measurements of the sac, and then I'm going to have a good check through it and see if we can give you a definite answer today.
Lindsay and Kevin wait anxiously for signs of a heartbeat.
See it there? Can you see there's a tiny little flickering?
Yeah.
Which is a little fetal heartbeat going there. You can see it there. OK?
Yeah, thank you.
Do you want a picture?
Yes.
There you go.
Picture of my daughter.
OK, so that's fine.
It's relief all round.
I'm feeling happy now that I've had the scan. I'm a bit relieved. Just when she said she couldn't tell if it was an ongoing pregnancy, I thought, well, I'd rather find out than wait 2 weeks. But I was glad to see the heartbeat. It makes it more real as well. You feel like you can actually now go, oh no, I'm ill, I've got morning sickness, I'm not getting up. You just feel like, you know, it's a bit more justified.
When our 100 couples got together, lifestyle went under the microscope in a big way. Essex couple Paula and Gary took 2 hits. They're both smokers.
I'm desperate to give up, but it's hard if he still carries on smoking.
And Paula's chances of conception were also lessened because she scored a high BMI, or body mass index.
I've always been big, definitely, but then I've ballooned recently.
But former alcoholic Gary was the envy of every man in the studio.
You have the most phenomenally high sperm count amongst everybody here. Right. Your count is 406 million per millilitre of your semen, which is about double the next highest person in the group.
Oh, I see.
Does that...
And when we did our mass pregnancy test, they were amongst the lucky 12 who received a positive result.
Oh my God.
I don't have to have sex anymore.
Well done. Mum.
After 6 months of trying to get pregnant, sex had become a chore for the couple.
Well, it's definitely real, isn't it?
But that's all changed. Their good news has given them a whole new energy.
We came home on the Monday and we were quite rampant, weren't we?
We was indeed, yeah.
It was
fun sex, better.
Yeah, because we didn't have to worry anymore, and we were so happy.
And it's not just sex that's getting the once over. The shock of their lifestyle assessment in our studio means they're both trying to get fit.
I thought I didn't sweat, but I do, quite a lot. So health-wise, I need to lose weight, not just for the way it looks, for my own health, and especially if I'm having another baby, I've got to keep myself healthy as well.
4 years ago, Paula lost 5 stone, but it's gradually piled back on. This time, though, she's determined to beat the bulge.
Due to the fact that I had a bit of a weight problem, my engagement ring actually stands for fat cow. But I don't mind too much. I'm determined after I've had the baby, I've set myself a target of a year and to get down to about 12 stone. And I will do it.
Gym and sex might be back on the menu, but cigarettes are still an issue.
You've smoked for about 30 years, haven't you?
Yeah, I have, yeah. So it's a habit.
I was a late starter.
Routine.
I didn't smoke until I was about 15. And when I was pregnant last time, I smoked all the way through my pregnancy.
They both want to kick the habit for good, so their GP has given them nicotine inhalers to get them started.
It looks like you're sucking on a tampon.
It does, doesn't it? It looks really weird, that, there's a bullet.
They're better than having nothing, but the willpower is still a struggle to hold out. And we have been backing down and having a couple of cigarettes a day, haven't we?
That's right, yeah.
Or rollies, but 2 is better than 15.
If you smoke a cigarette, you have 200 chemicals circulating through the body, which passes through the placenta. Nicotine constricts the vessels in the placenta, so it cuts off the flow of blood to the baby, and so it deprives it of oxygen. So you're likely to have a smaller birth weight baby, likely to have premature rupture of membranes, go into labour prematurely as well. But it's also the future health of the child, which is really important.
Paula and Gary have cut down, but stopping completely is proving difficult.
Looking forward to not wanting one of those. No, I won't be sorry to give it up.
Yeah.
No.
It's got to be a joint effort. It's no good one of us trying it and the other one not doing it, because at the end of the day, the other one, you're not going to pack up if I don't.
No.
And I won't pack up if she don't.
Back in Nottingham, it's been a tough few weeks for Barbara and Andy. Barbara's been in and out of hospital for treatment for her severe morning sickness. Today, she's back for her 12-week scan.
You can't tell the sex of the baby at this stage?
No, not at this stage. All babes tend to look pretty similar.
At 37, Barbara is one of our older mums. So she's having a nuchal translucency scan, which tests for the risk of Down syndrome between 11 and 13 weeks.
I'll give you a copy of that one because that's a good one to put in the album. Okay, it's having a really good jiggle.
Can you have a word with the baby and tell it to stop making me sick?
I wish we could do that.
Can you hear me?
See its little hands now?
The scan measures the amount of fluid behind baby's neck. Higher levels can indicate Down syndrome and heart problems.
There's your little sweetheart.
It's a tense wait for Barbara and Andy. If it's not good news, the couple will have to consider going for an amniocentesis, where they take fluid from the womb to test for the risk of Down syndrome and spina bifida.
Amazing, really, isn't it?
Obviously, the risk is there, and everyone knows that the older you get, the more risk you have, not just Downs, but other risks as well. But women are having babies later in life and older in life, and I think we deserve the right to have the test.
I've got your result here. Excellent. Okay. Now, your actual background risk or your age risk for having a child with Down syndrome at this gestation is 1 in 108. Okay.
I'll be actually 38 when I have baby. Does that make any difference?
No, that's the maternal age now.
Oh, right.
Yeah?
Okay.
Your actual risk for your baby, okay, is 1 in 605.
Wow.
So that's a lot less than your age risk, isn't it?
That's good.
Yeah.
I did expect the results to be a lot worse than they were, especially when it was 1 in 108 already. I thought that might not really change as much, but to go from 108 to 600 is just amazing. I don't think we're going to be going for the amnio now, because even though there is a chance that it could still be Downs, it's 1 in 600, which...
It's quite high risk. I mean, nothing is sure, but I think if we do actually go for the extra test, then it might harm the baby.
Yeah, I don't think it's worth putting the baby at risk.
Pregnancy can be an anxious time, but there are some worries more particular to the first 12 weeks. Miscarriage is one of every expectant mum's greatest fears.
Hot baths, I made sure I kept my baths tepid, obviously avoided any bangs to the tummy.
Carrying heavy things and doing too much exercise.
My partner won't let me sit and sort of hunch over.
For older women, the chances of miscarriage are even greater. In London, Susan and Alan are celebrating their birthday. They're both 37 today.
To us. Hip hip. Hooray! Hip hip.
Would you like some of Daddy's cake?
Susan is 6 weeks pregnant. She had daughter Marnie 3 years ago. Since then, she's had 2 miscarriages, both in the first trimester. Now she's convinced it's about to happen again.
This is my 4th pregnancy, and I feel, I guess, that I've lost my innocence when it comes to pregnancy, because now I don't assume that there's a baby at the end of every pregnancy, and indeed I probably have got no hope left that this pregnancy will end up as a baby. I guess it's been like this evolution of gradually of losing hope.
You might mention it to someone and they say, oh, congratulations, that's fantastic. And it will be fantastic. It'll be, unbelievably fantastic if it works out. But I guess, because of what we've been through, we're just a bit worried about what might happen, and whilst we don't want to dwell on that, we don't want to get too excited either.
Susan and Alan discovered they'd lost their last baby at an 8-week scan. Today, Susan is having the same scan for this pregnancy, so it's a worrying time.
The great fear is that it's all going to happen again, that we're going to lose this baby as well. I'm just very frightened. It's difficult to admit that I'm frightened. frightened we're going to lose this baby.
For Susan and Alan, this is a nerve-wracking moment. Previous experience has them fearing the worst.
I put the probe on your tummy now. Have a look. Why are you crying?
Despite their concerns, it's good news.
Look at me. Look here. Can I see the heartbeat?
Oh my
No, there's the heartbeat. Have a look.
It's a heartbeat.
There is one. Looks absolutely fine.
I can't believe it.
It looks perfectly alright.
Oh my God.
It looks absolutely fine.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
That's the heartbeat of your baby. And the heart rate.
Such a beautiful sound.
Despite the positive scan, Susan is still finding it difficult. I visited her at home to discuss her anxiety and to try to reassure her about baby's progress. And so at what point do you reckon that you will be out of the woods as far as this pregnancy is concerned?
I know that most women think that at 12 weeks it's woohoo, let's tell the relatives, but there's no way that I feel that confident.
And what about when they told you that everything was fine? Here's your baby's heartbeat, your baby's alive and kicking, you know?
Disbelief and elation. I let myself feel happy for half an hour.
You let yourself?
Yeah.
Why do you say that?
I let myself have that respite from my usual grief and anxiety.
Yeah.
Because I just feel I'm stuck. I'm waiting for this pregnancy to fail. And I don't want to tell everyone that I'm pregnant. I don't want any sympathy because then I have to tell them I've miscarried, which I've already done twice.
Yeah.
And it's a real strain. Is there any way that the sickness that I suffered in my second and third pregnancies had anything to do with the fact that I lost both pregnancies?
I think that's highly unlikely. I mean, most of the evidence about miscarriages seems to suggest that it's probably because there was a problem with the embryo, and it's your body's way of dealing with that, really. Do you think that once you reach your milestone, there'll be less need for reassurance, or just as much?
If I could feel this thing moving inside of me, I would be the happiest woman in the world.
For women who've suffered 2 consecutive losses, there's still a 70% chance of the next pregnancy being a complete success. But for some women, getting and staying pregnant can be a real problem. When our 100 couples did their pregnancy tests, the results are a real blow for Derby couple Joanne and Stuart, who had a miscarriage 5 months previously.
It's heartbreaking every time.
Doesn't feel like you've just not got pregnant. It feels like you're a failure. It's so difficult hearing that so-and-so's pregnant, or so-and-so's this and so-and-so. You know, you just think, oh, for God's sake, you know, why does it have to, you know, why can't it be that easy for me?
Until I win.
The couple already have 10-year-old Joseph. It's hard for him too.
She was quite upset, and every time someone said the word baby, it almost made her cry. Or every time she thought about it, it made her cry. And it made me cry at the same time. Because I was quite looking forward to having a brother or sister.
Fortunately for Joanne and Stuart, the couple have the support of 2 other Derby couples also trying to get pregnant. Kate and Pete and Anita and Paul met Joanne and Stuart when our 100 couples first got together. Since then, they've become good friends, meeting up regularly to swap stories and ideas they've picked up as they all try to conceive.
And it's nice to meet up with you all again.
Kate and Pete, Anita and Paul have been trying for just a few months. Kate and Pete are trying for their first baby, and for a long time neither were interested in starting a family.
Going back a year from now, a year ago, if you'd asked me if I wanted children, I would have said absolutely, 100%, no way. Not going to happen. Don't like them, have no time for babies, I'm not maternal in any way. We'd had an appointment for Pete to have the snip, and about 3 weeks before that appointment, I thought, you can't have it done. Until we were walking around the supermarket one night and I just blurted it out to you, didn't I?
Yeah.
Out of nowhere, that he wasn't having the snip and we were going to have children.
Anita is the third of our would-be mums in Derby. She and husband Paul have been trying for 4 months. They already have 3-year-old Katie. So they're trying not to get stressed or too caught up in the details of planning a pregnancy.
What I don't want to do is say, oh, this is the time we've got to have sex. I want it to be more natural than that. So although I've looked at the ovulation side, it's not something that we're willing to look at doing just yet. We want to try and give it a bit more natural process first.
Ovulation sticks are a popular way to chart, but fertility expert Cecilia Piper thinks there's a more obvious way of identifying the fertile time.
For most women, it takes a lot of time to chart, and it isn't always that helpful. They might want to chart 1 or 2 cycles to understand their menstrual cycle, but overall, the most important information that women need to know are the fertile cervical secretions.
Thick and sticky cervical secretions are difficult for sperm to swim in, but as a woman gets more fertile, her estrogen levels go up, and secretions become clear and stretchy, making it easier for sperm to swim through.
Looking for the very fertile, clear secretions is what they need to know, and knowing that targeting sex around that time is likely to be around the ovulation time.
All 3 women keep in touch by email and text, becoming a support group, helping each other cope with the stress of trying to get pregnant.
It's good to have them to sort of like talk to about the issues that you face. You tend to find with your friends, you feel like you're always going on about it, but when there's other people there that are going through the same as you, it's always handy to, like say, pick the phone up, or, we're usually on email or internet or something, talking to one another.
During our mass pregnancy test, Sarah and Colin from Sheffield didn't get the result they were hoping for. 10 years ago, Colin had testicular cancer, and this may have affected his ability to conceive. When he was diagnosed, Colin was with his first wife, and neither wanted children, so he didn't take the precaution of banking any of his sperm before treatment. Now he's met Sarah, who has a daughter from a previous marriage. Colin and Sarah want to have a baby together.
I would love to have a child of my own, and I would love to have it with Sarah. But if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. And I think Sarah's thoughts are slightly different on that.
I really, really would love to have another baby, and it gets to where I feel tearful if I see a baby in a pram, a newborn. That's what I'm like, and I'm just filling up now. Yeah, I get quite emotional when I think about it.
But Colin and Sarah have a problem. Colin discovered he had a low sperm count when we tested all our men during the studio health checks. So Colin's heading to a special clinic in Sheffield to see if his sperm count has improved.
It is quite bizarre that I now find myself driving up to the hospital, knowing what I've got to do at the hospital, and produce a sperm sample to be tested to see whether or not I can have children, which is something that up until probably 18 months ago I never ever wanted anyway. But then again, I never wanted a dog, and I've now got 2.
Colin and Sarah are both concerned about the outcome of the results.
Quite nervous, even though I don't think he's going to get the results today. I think it's been more of a worry for Colin, the outcome of today's test, because with me having a child in the past, it's possibly Colin's thinking that it's got to be him. There must be a problem with him, but that's not necessarily so. We've only been trying for 8 months, which isn't a long time, really. So I'm trying to keep positive.
Just to wait now for 3 weeks and then get the results back, so fingers crossed.
Waiting for results like these is stressful. So to help ease the tension, Colin is meeting Dr. Alan Pacey, a specialist in male fertility and sperm.
So what treatment did you have for your cancer?
Initially I had one of my testicles removed, the right one was removed, which was one where the lump was found, and then subsequently I had to go for radiotherapy.
Testicular cancer is really interesting, and I can say this with a bit of personal insight in as much as I've had it as well.
All right.
5 years ago, I had treatment myself, so I knew the risks, and because I run a sperm bank, that was one of the first things that I did. I ran down to the sperm bank and I banked some of my own sperm.
Yeah.
And actually that's been quite useful from the point of view of talking to chaps like yourself, because we get chaps coming through all the time who are very worried about their future fertility. How did you feel about it when you first found out?
To be sat down and told by somebody that you've got cancer, that's initially all you hear. It's the fear factor, and it's the fact that you have got this illness that kills people. How did you deal with it?
I sort of knew what the success rates were, and I knew that it was a disease that was really treatable, but for me it was a bit of an issue for, you know, the fact it was testicular cancer, and I work in this area and there were issues, I guess, of masculinity, and I was not happy with being messed around within my precious masculine area. I don't know how you felt about that yourself.
It was the same. It's like you've been tampered with, isn't it? And part of your masculinity has been taken away, but at the same time you're thinking, well, by having this taken away, it could actually be saving my life, you know, and giving me longer to live.
That's a really personal question. Did you have a false one put back?
No, I didn't. But I had some treatment at the same time as a guy who played football a lot, and one of his teammates wanted to have a feel to see how it felt, and they actually let him have a feel, and then afterwards told him, well, no, that wasn't the false one, that was the real.
Treatments for cancers are really bad for men's fertility. The sort of drugs and treatments that are given can actually stop the testicles producing sperm. You might think, because it's testicular cancer, that that's even worse, because often a testicle is removed and the treatments can be quite intense and severe. But the reality is that men who've had testicular cancer can have children 75% of the time if they want to do so.
Back in London, it's 2 weeks since Susan's last scan. She's had 2 previous miscarriages, so the first trimester of this pregnancy has been very stressful. Today, it's her 12-week scan.
We had a good scan at 10 plus 3.
And that was fine. Everything was fine.
So now we're at 12 plus 3.
And we have looked at the new transfusion seat today.
Yeah.
Right, let's have a look. Here we've got your baby. Jumping. Can you see the heartbeat there?
Oh, you jumped.
Yes.
It's really moving.
It's moving around a lot, isn't it? Is that normal?
That's absolutely fine. And first of all, we have a look at the size of the baby. It's roughly 6.5 centimeters. And that's absolutely normal as well. You've got
Wonderful. Fantastic.
Susan is also having a 4D scan, which uses cutting-edge imaging techniques. It's the closest parents can get to baby before birth, and often enables them to see the fetus smile, yawn, and even suck on his or her fingers.
Look at this.
Wow, that's great. Wow.
Thanks to the 4D technology, Susan and Alan can see baby's every move. It's the reassurance they're craving.
Look at this.
Yeah.
And that looks absolutely normal as well. Everything was fine. There's only one baby.
I am pleased. I couldn't be more happy. I'm like over the moon. I am a happy woman.
And the doctor said it's all fine. And I was like, what? Oh my God.
Yeah, this could be the start of hope and optimism for us.
3 weeks later, and the results of Colin's sperm tests are finally with his GP. If it's bad news today, Colin and Sarah might have to consider fertility treatment.
How are you both?
Apprehensive, I would think.
Bit nervous, yeah. Okay. I got the results of your sperm count, and it's actually very good news.
Is it?
Considering your history, and we know that the last test that you had showed a possible low sperm count.
Yeah.
This count, it's low, normal. Okay, but I have spoken to the laboratory about the result, and they say that with this result, you know, there is a very good chance of you conceiving.
Brill.
So.
Pleased.
Yeah, so am I. Yeah, it's a bit of a shock. It's a pleasant shock as well, because, you know, like I said earlier, I'd got it into my mind that it would be a low count, and that you know the decision then would have to be sort of looking at where we take it from there. Do we go for fertility tests and treatment, etc.? But it's a big boost, isn't it? It's a big boost.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Our 3 couples in Derby have all been trying to get pregnant. Now it looks like one couple might just have the news they've been hoping for.
As of a few days ago, we're officially pregnant. So I did a test while he was in the shower, looked at it, thought no, nothing, back to bed. So he came in to the bedroom and said, have you done it? And I said, yeah. I said it was negative. So he said, well, let me have a look. And he went into the bathroom to look for it, and he said, I don't know what I'm looking for. I said, well, if there's 2 lines, it's positive. I said, but there's only 1. He said, well, I can see 2. So the way that Pete found out I was pregnant was me going, oh, for God's sake, you don't know what you're looking at. And then there was 2 lines. And then 3 tests later, it was still positive. I feel kind of special. Like I've got a little secret that I'm carrying around with me at the minute. I'm sure it's not going to stay secret for long now.
For one of the couples, Kate and Pete's news is a little hard to bear. Joanne and Stuart have been trying for 2 years, going through the distress of a miscarriage just 5 months ago.
She texted me at 6 o'clock on the Wednesday morning. She just said, I have news. And obviously I texted her back saying, oh, you know, when are you due? Knowing damn well she wouldn't have even looked at that point. You know, she'd still be sat probably shaking. And she sent me a lovely text back saying she couldn't believe it, they were in shock. I started crying, went and woke Stuart up. Kate's pregnant.
I knew she'd be pleased for me. I knew she would be. But I felt a little bit awful for doing it before her. But I know that there was that bit of her that was so wanting to be in my situation. There's no bitterness, I'm sure, but I wish that, you know, if I could swap places with her, I would.
It's hard to say it without sounding like I'm jealous. It's not about being jealous, it's just, it's been a long, long time. And every time you hear of one, it's like someone's punched you in the stomach. I want to sort of go up and cuddle Kate and like, it's going to be all right, you're going to be a brilliant mummy. And on the other hand, I don't want to go and see her at all because that's all I want.
A few days later, and there's good news for Anita too.
Hi Kate, it's Anita. Hello, I've got some news for you. I'm pregnant. Along with you.
Oh my God! When was this?
I've just done a test and found out I'm pregnant.
Oh, that's wicked.
Thank you very much.
Oh, that's fab. Oh, we've got to go shopping together and everything.
She's shocked, as I was. Obviously, Kate is the first person I've told, so Paul doesn't know yet. So she's really pleased for us, and we're off shopping together, so that's great.
Back in Sunderland, Lindsay's just had news that's left her stunned.
Kiss this time.
I don't actually believe it myself when I'm about to say it, but I found out that there's not 1 baby there, there's actually 2, which is just a total shock.
Round, Mummy.
Rang Kevin, didn't really believe us, and I just don't really know what I'm going to do.
Oh, what's that?
Lindsay and Kevin will now have 3 children under 2.
And she said, I'm having twins. I said, I don't believe you. She said, I am, I'm having twins. I said, I swore. I said, you're kidding me? She said, I swear on our Lucy's life, I'm having twins. And I nearly dropped the phone, to be honest.
With double the trouble on the horizon, Kevin's already preparing for the new arrivals.
I like to learn more about things I don't know a great deal about, and I don't know anything about twins at all. Sometimes I come across a few things like there's an increased risk of this and there's an increased risk of that with twin pregnancies, and I look at it and it's concerning, but I try not to tell Lindsay some of it because she's a worrier.
Today is their first hospital appointment since finding out about the twins. It's also a chance to meet their consultant, Kim Hinshaw.
Nice to
I
meet
know
you,
you've had the news that you've got twins,
yes,
which is excellent. We're going to do another scan today for you, which can get you some pictures. But the main reason, and I think the midwives probably told you, is that the important thing for us as obstetricians is not just the fact they're twins, but to try and work out whether there's 1 afterbirth or 2 afterbirths. If you have a careful look there, can you see them? 1 on the left side, heart beating away, and if you look on this side, there's the other one underneath. Now what I wanted to look at was the afterbirth, and that's the whiter area on the front. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Certainly looks as if there's just one afterbirth. If that's correct, then these twins are identical.
When twins share one placenta or afterbirth, it can be problematic as they can grow at different rates, with one twin sometimes taking more nourishment than the other.
We'll have to watch them a little bit more closely because occasionally they don't share their blood supply equally, but most of them do.
It does mean that there are generally more problems because they haven't got their own placenta to grow from. It does make them the high risk type.
Next time on Make Me a Baby, Joanne and Stuart are still trying to get pregnant.
I'm just going to go and pee on the stick. Keep fingers crossed.
As most of our couples head into the second trimester, pregnancy guru Zita West comes to the rescue of Paula and her bad diet.
Heartburn, horrendous.
Oh, no.
I can't breathe at night. To top it off today, I've got piles.
And it's delivery time for Lindsay, Kevin and their twins.
I can't wait to just get them out and give them you to carry out.